All right, we are live and we are finishing up the Lomachenko Kobe weigh-in as I speak. As soon as I hit start, they both made weight. They both made 134. All right, and we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna do the predictions. We're gonna go over all of the fights. There's a ton of fights this weekend, and we're gonna go over just about most of them. Not all of them, but most of them. All right. Hope everyone's having a good week so far. All right. I just want to see how this face-off ends and everything with Lomachenko and Commey. I'm on the Top Rank YouTube channel, and I should be able to do live commentary on this fight tomorrow. I'm not gonna be able to do them all. I'm definitely not gonna be able to do the Conor Benn fight card, which I would really love to do, but I'm not gonna be home that early. What's up, Fotex? What's up, D? Moss? What's good? What's up, everyone that's joining us? Richard Coleman is still trying not to smile, and they both laughing at each other still. This is funny. It's crazy how like they're both about to go to war tomorrow, and they have a lot of respect. Like you knew, like way back, they've been had a lot of respect for each other. It could be a fun fight, but it could be a domination. You know, it really depends on what kind of fight Richard Coleman brings to Lomachenko. You know, because there is a way to keep Lomachenko's foot off the gas, but you got to be sharp at all points. Like you can't let off the gas at all. Like if you're fighting Lomachenko, we're gonna get into that. I want to talk about all the other fights first, and then we're gonna get into that one. What's up, Strong? What's good? Thank you for the donation. What's up, Eddie? Yeah. You know, I'm trying to get back in the mix. You know, last couple of weeks I was really not feeling that well, but I'm getting back into the mix of trying to put more content out for you guys. What's up, Christmas Shaggy? Working man was good. All right, so the weigh-in is done. You know, I'm not gonna listen to all the interviews and all of that. We'll deal with that later. There's no bad blood in this fight anyway. All right, so we got a lot of cards. There's a lot of fights going on. There's like 5 events that I know of. So we have Lomachenko fighting Richard Commey on Top Rank ESPN tomorrow night. We also got Nonito Donaire fighting Raymar Gaballo on Showtime, right? And then on the Zone earlier in the afternoon, at night for you guys out in the UK, we got Conor Benn fighting Chris Algieri tomorrow on the Zone. And then I don't think the other 2 fights, you got John Rio Casimiro fighting Paul Butler, and I don't believe that fight is going to be televised. It should be an easy win for John Rio Casimiro, not a big deal, kind of like a stay busy fight. All right. And we also got Dimitri Bivol, who's normally fighting on the Zone. He's going to be fighting Umar Salamov. Okay. I was able to get some time to look him up real quick, but that is not going to be on the Zone. I don't believe the Zone is broadcasting that fight. All right. So there's a ton of fights, and there's a ton of fights on the undercards of these fights. You know, I know Vasyl Lomachenko, his card, you got a bunch of, you know, the up-and-coming guys. You got Jerry Anderson on there. You got Xander Zayas on there, one of the top prospects right now. You got Keyshawn Davis, another top prospect right now, Olympic silver medalist. And you have Nico Ali Walsh, the grandson of Muhammad Ali. And yeah, I mean, they're really pumping his fights up really, really hard. I personally don't think he's that good of a fighter, but you know, they're pushing him heavy. They're really pushing him heavy. No look past. Thank you for the donation. Pretty much, I appreciate it. All right, but yeah, Lomachenko got all of the I mean, normally Top Rank has these fighters on their undercards, but they are really putting out all the top dudes that's on the come up on this undercard right here. Xander Zayas, Jared Anderson, now Keyshawn Davis, who signed with Top Rank. All right, and then you got Nico Ali Walsh as well. All right, and then on the Conor Benn card, you do have Who do we have? We have Katie Taylor on the other card. All right. We got Hank Lundy fighting Robbie Davis. Not as much of a stacked card here, but not a bad card. But I'm really looking forward to that Conor Benn, Chris Algieri. I think that fight could be more competitive than a lot of people are making it seem. All right. And no Needle Donaire, not really any notable names on there. Yeah, not any real notable names on his undercard. All right, so let's get into it. Let's talk about these fights. Let's break them down. Let's see what's going on. Let's start out with Nonino Donaire against Raymar Gaballo. And not a bad fight. I'm not that familiar with Gaballo. I did see his fight with Manny Rodriguez. And it was a pretty competitive fight. I mean, Gaballo can definitely scrap. Right? He throws a lot of punches. He's very fast and he's very powerful. Not good defense, though. It's very explosive. Defense is not so good. All right. Very controversial fight. You know, I think I had Gaballo winning the fight. I thought he did enough to win. But, you know, as I read the comments, I think a lot of people had Manny Rodriguez winning. I think even when I think I did cover that fight, I think it was on the undercard of another fight that I covered. And I think a lot of people thought Manny Rodriguez did enough to win that fight. But anyway, Nonito Donaire has been on a tear since he's been back down at 118. I mean, he's an older guy. He's a champion at 122. He was a champion at 126 momentarily. I think he has like titles in like 3 or 4 different divisions at least. But since he's been at 118, even though he's older, I mean, he still looks fresh, man. He's still fast. He's still powerful. And he's bigger than all of these guys at 118. I'm expecting him to win. I expect Gaballo to walk right into a left hook. Like I said, he can punch. He can fight. He can scrap. He got fast hands. He definitely throws a lot of punches. But I expect Donaire to counter him and catch him with a hard shot and finish him off. Once Donaire has you hurt, it's a wrap. He's one of the best finishers out there. You know what I'm saying? He's a puncher. He has quick hands. I mean, he was knocking out guys at 122. I mean, he was stopped by Nicholas Walters. But Walters was one of the most dangerous fighters at 126. And he even hurt Walters bad in that fight, even though he got stopped eventually, all right? D, thank you for the donation. Donaire is really pushing the clock back, for real. And I think a lot of that has to do with him fighting down at 118. You know, if you really think about it, let's say Donaire stayed at 118 or never went past 122. You know, if he never really went and pushed himself to go over those higher weights and fighting those bigger guys and still getting knockouts, I think he would have been viewed as one of the better fighters, you know, but I think it's because he took the risk and he had success at 122. It's not like I don't think he should have any regrets or anything. He really tried to pushing it and going up to fighting bigger guys. But I mean, man, him coming down at 118 was a blessing. The fact that he can still make 118 is crazy. Lot of power, still quick. You know, I mean, he's good. He's legit. And the way he's fighting right now, I can't see him retiring. And he could still go probably another couple of years at least. All right. Because he still looks sharp. He's older, but he got to be like 38. I think he's 38 right now. No, he's 39. Wow, he's 39. And I could still see him fighting a couple more years. That's crazy. You know, these Filipino fighters, they ain't no joke. You can't sleep on them, man. A lot of them very explosive, big power, you know, big hand speed, quick hands, everything. All right. Anzi, thank you for the donation, man. Everything is good, man. Everything is good on my end. I can't wait for these fights tomorrow. It's gonna be a lot of fights, man. I really can't wait for the Conor Benn. You know, that fight is my fight that I'm looking forward to the most because I really want to see how that fight goes. You know, I think Algieri can give him trouble. I think he could give him some issues. So I'm really looking forward to that fight. And I'm really looking forward to Commey and Lomachenko. That should be a fun fight. All right. Gary Russell Jr. is fighting Mark Masayo. I didn't even know that. I actually liked that fight. I had no idea that they were fighting each other, But I do like that fight. If that fight is legit, that's a dope scrap. I like Mark Masayo. That's a good fight. I'm looking forward to that one. That's a good fight. You know, those are the people that I want to see Gary Russell fighting. I want him seeing them. Like, I want those kind of fights. That's a good look. That's definitely a good look. All right. So, what else we got? Dimitri Bivol. He's gonna be fighting Umar Salamov. All right. And I looked up Umar. He's a pretty good fighter, very tall for the division. He's 6'3". He has like a 70-inch reach advantage, like a 70-inch 6 reach. I think Bivol only got like a 72, and he's not nearly that tall. He's like only 6 foot. That's going to be like, that's a good style matchup right there. You got a tall, long fighter that works, and it works behind the jab. He has a good 1-2. Got decent hand speed, very long and lanky. I was able to watch some of his stuff yesterday. I was able to look him up and watch a couple of his fights. Very long, lanky, and it should be a tough fight for Bivol. You know, I mean, he's coming off the win against Craig Richards, which wasn't a great performance. You know, Richards definitely worked his jab well, was able to punch through Bivol's guard and land some big right hands. So Bivol definitely got touched up. Bivol definitely won the fight for sure, but he got pieced up a little bit in that fight. Wasn't his best performance, but I think some of the criticisms is that he got is, you know, I think people take it a little too much. Like, once a fighter has a little bit of, you know, toughness and opposition, and as soon as they get hit a little bit, people start going and like saying, oh, he's washed up. Listen, he got touched up a little bit in that fight, but it wasn't a bad performance. He still looked sharp, and plus he was inactive for a bit before that fight. All right. Yeah, I'm Chris Cross. I'm definitely going live for the Loma fight. I should definitely be home on time to cover the Lomachenko fight. And if possible, I can double dip and go into the Showtime card with no Donaire. So hopefully the fights don't overlap. If Donaire happens to fight before Lomachenko and Commey, I will cover the Donaire fight. If it is overlapping each other, I'm definitely going to take the Lomachenko Commey fight over the Donaire Gaballo fight. All right, for sure. But going back to this Dimitri Bivol fight, it's a good fight. You know, Salamov is ranked. You know, he is a ranked fighter. You know, I think he only has one loss. He's tall, he's lanky, he has a good jab. I'm expecting, you know, Bivol to do what he normally does, keep that guard up, keep that high guard up. Very light high guard, though. It's not a real tight high guard. He uses it to parry and counter, you know. So I expect Bivol to parry and counter, catch and shoot, and try to take away that jab of Umar. You want him to not jab as much, but those counters, those quick hands of Bivol should give Umar some trouble in that fight. And I'm expecting Bivol to win. I just can't wait to see Bivol against an elite fighter at 175 or another unification match, possibly against Beterbiev. That's the fight I really want to see at this point. It's been a minute. Both of these guys been champions for a minute, and I always wanted to see this fight. But anyway, I got Bivol winning that fight. I have Bivol winning that one on points. You know, I don't know the toughness of Umar. Bivol definitely can crack. He's not a big a puncher as Beterbiev, but he can definitely crack. He definitely can hurt, you know, the opponents he fought. He was able to stop. He has some good stoppages in his career. So that should be a good fight. All right. What's up with the Usyk-AJ rematch? I mean, I don't know what's up with it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, we're supposed to still be getting it, you know? So I don't know, you know? I guess whenever it's announced, maybe down in March or something, we'll get the rematch. You know, I'm not expecting him to, you know, I guess, take step aside money, because people are talking about that a lot. He's not going to take step aside money. We're going to get the fight, and that's that, you know. Loma versus Commey seems fixed. I don't know why. I mean, I know they're super friendly at the weigh-in, but I don't think there's any. I think Commey is kind of like that. I don't think it's going to be fixed or anything like that. I think Loma is probably going to win the fight, and I think it's because Loma's a better fighter. I don't think it's going to be fixed or anything like that. You know, I know they're ultra friendly, but Commey was friendly with Teofimo Lopez as well leading up to the fight. They had a lot of respect for each other. They did interviews together before the fight. I think Commey is just one of those kind of guys. Like, he's just not one of those guys. I mean, I know in the ring, he got knockout power for sure, but he's very respectful. He's always been that way, you know, and Lomachenko's kind of that way too. You know, I mean, Lomachenko is the one that predicted Commey to win against Teofimo Lopez, you know, so he has a lot of respect for Commey. I don't think it's any fixing or anything like that. All right. Now, Conor Benn against Chris Algieri. That's a good fight. Chris hasn't been the most active. He did have a fight a few months back. I wasn't able to see it, but you know, I remember him fighting at the AJ Ruiz first fight on the card. That was the last time I seen them fight. And that was a couple years ago. So, I mean, he's 37 years old. Not sure how much left he has in the tank. All right. That's the one thing. He's 37. He's not that active, but this is a guy that's a nutritionist. He's a licensed nutritionist. He stays in shape all round, all year round. And he's going to be ready to fight. Like, he's going to be in his best physical shape. If you've seen him weigh in, you know that he's going to be in his best physical shape for this fight, you know, tomorrow night or tomorrow during the day. So with that being said, I'm expecting the best Chris Algieri. Now, there's a part of the, you know, picking him as the next opponent. I think that has a lot to do with the Adrian Granado's performance. Wasn't a good performance with Conor Benn. He was forcing a big right hand, didn't really use much of the arsenal, didn't work behind the jab, was just following Adrian Granados around. Adrian used the ring, used the entire ring, a lot of lateral movement, a lot of running as well. And he gave Conor Benn some major issues. You know, definitely exploited some of Conor Benn's holes in his game, made Conor Benn look kind of limited. He wasn't that guy. Conor Benn is usually fighting guys that's standing right in front of him, so he's able to tee off. If you saw the Samuel Vargas fight, you know, Conor Benn just punched him because Samuel Vargas was right in front of him. You know, Conor can punch. He attacks the body well. You know, I mean, he's a strong fighter and everything. But Adrian Granado showed that, yo, if you use a little movement, you use a good jab, and you pick your spots to rush him and ambush him, you could see that Conor Benn didn't really do well in that scenario. And I think Chris Algieri has a similar style, but Chris is probably better at fighting that style. I'm not saying he's better than Adrian Granados overall, because Adrian is a guy that usually like to bang. He used to like to exchange and trade with you. But in that fight, he used the ring. And I think that's what Conor Benn was not expecting that. I mean, he said it even in his post-fight press conference and his interviews that he was not expecting Adrian Granados to fight that kind of fight. Now that he did, hopefully Conor Benn worked on his legs, you know, being quicker on his feet, learning how to cut off the ring, all right, and apply that pressure, but smart pressure. So hopefully he worked on that. I mean, he's fighting Chris Algieri, a guy that could move. Now, this is the thing about Chris Algieri. And what's up, everyone just coming in? What's up, Charles Edward Cheese Body Work? The thing with Chris Algieri is not just a mover. Okay, the most we've seen Chris Algieri move was the Provodnikov fight. Now, if you saw that fight, you understand. If you watch Provodnikov, you know how dangerous Provodnikov used to be. Huge puncher, huge body attacker, punisher. I mean, crazy pressure. All right. Extremely durable. Right. Terrible on defense. He blocked punches with his face, but he was the kind of guy that was so durable that he was capable of taking those kind of punches. Chris Algieri, even because he was knocked down so early, and I don't think Chris Algieri won that. I actually went to that fight live. Chris Algieri didn't win the fight to me, but Chris Algieri started to use his legs and use the entire ring in order to outbox Ruslan Provodnikov. Okay. He tried to do the same with Errol Spence, didn't work out too well. Errol started going to his body. Errol, you know, once he started going to his body, Chris Algieri started getting trapped on the ropes, and that's how he got pummeled by Errol Spence. Now, I don't think Conor Benn is capable of doing what Errol did. Errol is better at fighting that style. He's better at cutting off the ring. He's better at attacking the body. You know what I'm saying? He's just better at being physical. Errol's a much bigger fighter than Conor Benn. I mean, he's just better at being physical. That's his style. Conor Benn could apply pressure. Yes, he has a lot of power. He's very explosive, but he's not the guy that's good at cutting off the ring and chopping down his opponents like the way Errol did against Chris Algieri. All right. So Conor is going to have to work a little bit more. He's going to have to use his jab. He's definitely going to have to go to the body. He can't just keep winging big right hands and keep headhunting like the way he did against Adrian Granados. He's definitely going to have to switch it up a little bit in order to get to Chris Algieri. Now, Chris, again, he's older. I mean, his fight with Errol Spence was like 5 years back. So when he got stopped by Errol back then, Chris was a lot younger. He was a lot fresher. You know what I'm saying? He only had lost to Khan and Provodnikov. Oh, no, not even Provodnikov. Who did he lose to? Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao got to him crazy too. Manny Pacquiao knocked him down like 6 times, but he didn't finish him. You know, I think Pacquiao could have finished him, but this is around the time where everybody was saying that Pacquiao lost that killer instinct. Pacquiao wasn't as ruthless and as much of a finisher as he was back in the day. So when he knocked down Chris Algieri like 6 times, he didn't finish him off. He kept letting him get back up. He didn't rush him. You know what I'm saying? Errol Spence Jr., he's a beast. He walked him down. He pummeled him. He's a different type of dude. And I don't think Conor Benn is on that level. But Chris Algieri is 37 years old now. I don't know how durable he is. I don't know what Conor Benn is going to bring to the table this time around. We just got to wait and see. But Chris, don't sleep on him because he's not going to just move. He's going to step up. He's going to square up at times, and he's going to throw and bang with you too. He's not going to stay that way because Conor Benn is obviously the bigger puncher. But he's going to pick his spots, and he's going to jump in and try to smother Conor Benn, his offense. He's going to try to smother Conor Benn offense. That's what I'm saying. Don't sleep on Chris Algieri for this fight because he's definitely going to step in at times and smother Conor Benn's offense. Adrian Granados did the same thing in that fight. He was moving, and then there was certain rounds. It was 2 or 3 rounds in that fight where he just came in and smothered Conor Benn unexpectedly and took away his offense. So you got to look out for that. All right. Shout out to Contender Regime Boxing. Great channel. Salute BoxingWave. I got Benn on the upset alert this weekend. I expect Benn to win, but I'm a little iffy with his ability to cut off the ring. And this is what I'm saying. I don't think Benn is going to lose the fight. I don't think he's going to lose. But I think it could be one of those fights where people are like, he's not that good. He's overrated. You know how after the Adrian Granados, a lot of people were saying he was a hype job? This could be one of those fights where if it goes the distance, Conor Benn might not look good, depending on what kind of fight Chris Algieri brings. Because Chris might really just be in there to survive. If he's in there to survive, and if he's in there, I mean, he's a tough dude. Again, he's been in there with Ruslan Provodnikov and went 12 with him with like a broken orbital bone. I mean, I think he broke his orbital bone in the first round, right? That first left hook hurt his eye, banged his eye up, and he went the whole 12 rounds. That dude is tough. He couldn't do it against Spence because Spence worked the body. So if Conor Benn can get to this dude's body, he's in great shape. He can move well. But if you're going to keep headhunting, you're not going to get him out of there. You have to go to Chris Algieri's body because Chris is very durable. Again, 6 knockdowns from Manny Pacquiao, kept getting up, kept continuing to fight. Provodnikov, he knocked Chris Algieri around with a lot of big, heavy shots up top. But did he go to the body as good as way Spence did? No. Spence went to the body. Conor Benn, if he wants to look impressive, he has to go to the body, and he has to learn how to cut off the ring. Hopefully, he's worked on that in between this fight and the last one in this camp. And if he did, I'm expecting a decision with Conor Benn. I think he's capable of stopping Chris Algieri, especially because he's older. If Chris was younger in his prime, if this was 5, 6, 7 years ago, I would say it would definitely be a 50-50 fight. But being that Chris ain't that active anymore. He's old. He's 37 years old. He's been in there with a few he's been a few wars. He took a lot of punishment over the years. I'm saying Conor Benn is going to win. Just not know if it's going to be a stoppage or a decision. All right, but don't sleep on Algieri. If Algieri is able, and remember, a lot of people are saying it's upset season. A lot of people are saying it's upset season. So, based on Tank's performance last week, we had a close one. Based on Teofimo Lopez's performance a week prior, we saw what happened in that. So, listen, you never know. Chris Algieri, don't sleep on him this weekend. I think that is the best matchup of the weekend so far, in my opinion. All right. So, but I have Conor Benn winning this one, but I'm going to go with the decision win for Conor Benn. I think Chris Algieri is going to edge it out unless Conor Benn does something impressive to me. Right now, I'm going to say a decision. I'm not sure if Conor Benn has improved that much since his last fight with Adrian Granado. So he's going to have to show me that. All right, so let's move on to the main event, the biggest fight of the weekend. Vasyl Lomachenko against Richard Commey. All right, and look, I went back when I found out these guys was fighting. The first fight I went right back to. If you haven't seen it, check it out. But the first, if you're a little bit unsure and you don't know how this fight is going to go back, watch Richard Commey against Denis Shafikov. That's the first fight that came to mind because Shafikov is a pressure fighter. All right. He's shorter. He's a pressure fighter and he's a southpaw. Go back and watch that fight. Denis Shafikov won that fight. And I think a lot of that has to do with the pressure he was put on Richard Commey. He was making Commey fight backwards. He was pushing Commey against the ropes. And Commey does not look that good when he's fighting backwards. He's a big puncher. He works behind a jab. He has a good 1-2 and everything. But if you back him up, he's not as effective. And I think with Lomachenko, with his style, with his pressure, if he is able to make Commey go backwards, it should be an easy night of work for Lomachenko. But if Richard Commey is able to stand his ground and keep that fight in the center of the ring, he can actually do some damage and make it a competitive fight. I don't know if it's going to be enough to win, but he has to stand his ground because Lomachenko is one of those guys that's a rhythm fighter. Everybody's talking about Teofimo Lopez and how Lomachenko had the surgery and he had an injury with his arm, but no one is talking about how the fight was playing out in those early rounds. And one thing that Teofimo never missed a step on in this fight, even those rounds that he lost, those 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th rounds that he lost in that fight, the thing with Lopez is he stood his ground. He didn't back up against Lomachenko. Yes, Lomachenko started landing some good shots in those later rounds, but Teofimo Lopez stood his ground, and he wasn't allowing Lomachenko to use those angles and make him go backwards. He made Lomachenko keep resetting himself to look for openings, and that's what Commey needs to do. Commey needs to work that jab. He needs to shoot those right hands from the outside to the body. He has to keep staying active. He has to basically fight the perfect fight in order to make this fight competitive. You cannot let Lomachenko get into a rhythm because guys like him, guys like Usyk, who has similar styles, those guys are rhythm fighters. They need to be on a good rhythm. You know what I'm saying? So if you're able to cut them off and stop their movement and stop the angles and stuff like that, if you're able to do it, then the fights are tougher for them. Even when you look at the Jose Pedraza fight with Lomachenko, and I know Lomachenko almost stopped him late, and I know he was coming off a surgery in that fight. All right, but Pedraza, he was able to stand his ground because he used a lot of upper body movement, and Lomachenko couldn't get a rhythm. He just couldn't get the timing right. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't set up the angles because Pedraza kept moving in that fight. He kept moving his upper body, going side to side. Good head movement. Good, he was doing a lot of light punches, but he was keeping Lomachenko in a place where he couldn't get a rhythm going. And that's what you want to do with Lomachenko. So Commey is going to have to stay on the attack the entire time. He can't just back up. Once he start backing up, Lomachenko's going to be coming forward. He's going to be using his angle. He's going to be stepping to the side, stepping around him. All right, he's going to be throwing flurries. He's going to be landing light shots to the body. You see, Loma's tricky because he always starts out with landing the lighter touches. He wants to see what shots he's capable of landing. Okay, as soon as he starts getting a rhythm going and starts getting the timing and the range down, he starts throwing the heavier shots. You know, people don't think Loma is a huge puncher, but he can punch. It's just that he's not sitting there trying to sit down on every single shot. You know what I'm saying? He's going to mix the power punches with the lighter punches, and that's what you got to be worried about. It's the volume. Once the volume gets going, it's over. You know, so Commey has to keep standing his ground, keep that fight in the middle round, and he basically has to fight a perfect fight in order to make it competitive. He has enough power to possibly, you know, rock Loma or maybe drop him, catch him with a flash knockdown, like the way what's his name, Jorge Linares did. All right, so he definitely has the power to possibly stun or hurt Lomachenko. I don't think bad, because we never see Lomachenko really hurt bad. We seen him rocked a couple of times, but he has a pretty solid chin. So he definitely has the power to do something. But you know what I'm saying? He has to stand his ground. And if he doesn't stand his ground, it's over. He's going to get destroyed. He's going to be looking like Nicholas Walters out there. And that's not what he wants. All right. So it should, you know, I have Lomachenko winning the fight. I personally think Lomachenko is going to try to make a statement and stop it Commey like he stopped Nakatani. You know, Teofimo Lopez had a lot of issues against Nakatani. You know, that was he barely won that fight. And Lomachenko made it his business to go in there and stop him. We know that Teofimo Lopez destroyed Richard Commey in 2 rounds. I don't think Lomachenko is capable of doing that, but I do think 7, 8 rounds down the line, I think Lomachenko is going to be able to stop Richard Commey, and I think it might even be from a body shot. You know, Commey's tough. He's been in some good wars with Robert Easter and some of these other fighters, but Lomachenko's a different beast, and I think Lomachenko's going to get him, you know, and I think it's going to do because he's going to force Commey to fight going backwards. He's going to force Commey against the ropes, and that's when he's going to be stepping around Commey and just smothering him, and he's going to just overwhelm him. And I got Lomachenko winning this one by like 6th, 7th, 8th round stoppage, you know, earliest to 6th, latest to 8th. All right, I can't really see it going any past that. So should be a good performance with him, and then we'll get to see you know, who gets this. He's the last one of this whole 135 division sweepstakes. Who's gonna get Tank next? Who's gonna get Kambosos? Because Kambosos is what everybody's talking about, because Kambosos has all the titles. All right, so Lomachenko wants it. He might end up winning the fight. Bob Arum was talking about him being a WBO mandatory. So if he is to win, and I think he will win, he might end up getting the Kambosos fight. Ryan Garcia, because of his internet fame or whatever, he might end up getting the Kambosos fight. I think the way it goes with me, and I spoke briefly on this before, the way I look at it, I do think that Ryan is at the bottom of the list of as far as difficulty and as far as who's the most proven. You know, out of these so-called 4 kings, I think he's the less proven. You know, Teofimo Lopez is out of picture right now. He's the one coming off the loss, and he's the one that's most likely to go up to 140. All right. So he's out the picture. But Ryan is the less proven. He was able to had his biggest win against what's his guy's name? Who'd he beat? Luke Campbell. Okay, so he beat Luke Campbell. Was his biggest win. Stopped him. It was a good stoppage because Luke never been stopped. But he was also dropped in that fight. All right. And he got up, continued on, and won the fight. Cool. But the dude retired after that. He retired. He actually legit retired. All right. Went on a mental health break. Guys like that, he's at the bottom to me. Haney got a couple good wins this year. All right. He's up there. Tank, he's been around. He hasn't fought the top elite fighters, but he's been consistent fighting solid opponents. Not the super elite, but solid opponent. So he's more proven than Ryan Garcia. Devin Haney is more proven than Ryan Garcia. Lomachenko, to me, has the best resume. He's the most proven. Took a couple L's, but he's still the most proven at 135. And just as his career overall, 3 division champion, 3 unified champion, former unified champion, Olympic gold medalist 2 times, all of that stuff, greatest Olympian or greatest amateur ever. He's the most proven. And then now you have George Kambosos, who holds 4 titles, coming off that Teofimo Lopez win. Great win. All right. So anyway, with all that being said, Ryan, unfortunately, I think Ryan's going to get the fight. If it's not going to be Loma for a mandatory spot, I think it's going to be Ryan, because Ryan he's known, but he's the least dangerous in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be Devin Haney. That's just my prediction. I want it to be Devin Haney, but I can see either Lomachenko getting the fight first, or I can see Ryan Garcia getting the fight first. Loma because of the mandatory position, or Ryan because of his fake popularity and because of him being the least dangerous out of everybody. Yes, he has a good left hook. He has power for sure. I know that. But George has shown that he has a chin. How many right hands did George take against Teofimo Lopez? A lot. And he stood his ground. Yes, he got knocked down at one point, but he stood his ground. He stood his ground, and he was able to win the last 2 rounds after being knocked down. That shows a lot. I think he's legit. So with all that being said, Lomachenko's win against Commey, if he is to win, I'm expecting him to, but if he is to win this weekend, that'll be it for 135. We're going into a new year now. A lot of answers still haven't been questioned because the top dudes still hasn't fought everyone. There's a lot of fights we got to see from Ryan. We got to see from Devin Haney. We got to see from Tate. Lomachenko's been in there, but not with these newer dudes. He's only been in there with Teofimo Lopez. We still never seen him against Tate, Ryan, Devin Haney, and even Shakur Stevens, his name, even though Shakur is down at 130, his name keeps coming up. It keeps coming up at 135. So even though Shakur won at 130, he has his business down there with Oscar Valdez and all of those guys down there. His name keeps coming up in the mix at 135. So sometimes we're going to have to include him, and plus include him with Lomachenko, because his name has been brought up even by Bob Arum. So you never really know. All right. So anyway, I think I addressed everything. Again, a lot of fights on the undercard. You got Katie Taylor fighting tomorrow. You have all the young prospects like Jerry Aronson and Xander Zayas and all those guys. I expect all of them to win, and look sharp. I'll definitely be here to do commentary on the late fights, Lomachenko and Commey, and possibly Donaire against Gaballo. All right, but I won't be able to cover Clown and Benn. Again, follow me on my Twitter account, BoxingWave 10. I will definitely be tweeting through the fight if I'm able to watch it while I'm out. But that's the fight I'm really looking forward to because of that matchup. I think Loma's gonna get the stoppage, and I think that's pretty much it, man. No, Donaire's gonna get a stoppage as well, and I think Bivol possibly could get a stoppage. Will definitely win the fight, though. I think he definitely win the fight. All right. So anyway, salute to everyone that's here: Jimbo, Dr. Johnson, Otto, Dennis, the Woken One, Drummond, Pagan, Jimbo Slice, everyone that was here today. Salute. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share the video if you haven't. And I'll see you guys tomorrow on the fights.